This episode is sponsored by BW Beauty. I'm Megan.
I'm CJ.
And I'm Erica.
And this is the Her Podcast.
Okay, everybody, when I tell you that this is one of all three of our favorite episodes, I mean it. We had such an incredible conversation with Dustin and Connor, the founders of Local Laundry here in Calgary. We were laughing through the entire thing, and honestly, it was kind of like sitting down with the male versions of me and CJ. We're talking with them about making a difference with your dollar, the impact of building community with a brand, and when I tell you that this brand knows how to build community, I mean it. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to want to take notes. They speak about using business as a tool to create an impact and the importance of building a value-focused business. P.S. If you're in a space where you're looking for a business partner or don't know how to navigate that, you're going to want to turn it up because they share the most perfect and simple way on how to describe finding your perfect business partner. This is a good one. I know we're all listening to it on repeat. We hope you enjoy. Okay, you want me to open this?
Yeah, you're
Ready, Connor?
jazzed.
Okay. So this, I'm opening a gift
They brought us gifts because we
from Local Laundry.
made in Canada.
Yes. Yes. I'm wearing
so
it
great.
right now. I don't have headphones on for
Love
a
it. There
reason.
you go.
Love it.
So cute.
Thank you guys.
Oh, I love this. I wanted one this color so bad.
I know,
I'm probably
we
yelling. I'm
did.
sorry. I wanted one.
you're good.
Okay. I wanted one this color so bad last winter to go with my pink puffer coat.
Yep.
Because I have a pink coat.
Maybe I should
We
shimmy
had
over
a
to
feeling
you.
this would be this.
Oh my
color
gosh,
would
I
be
love it.
We love it.
Thank you so much.
guys.
We love presents, and we actually don't get them that often, so thank you.
We had one look at our feed, and you were like, maybe this color would work
I
for
listened
these
to a couple
ladies.
episodes, and there was
Did
some
you?
chatter in there about
Oh my
pink
God.
jackets and pink blazers.
You did your research. We literally were talking about that. I don't know if we should talk about that, but before people
It's
came
fine,
in,
just say it.
Okay, I'm like, well, it's just interesting. You know, people that come on the podcast, which is fine. Some people, you know, pitch themselves, which is great. Sometimes we pitch ourselves to other people, but sometimes people don't do research, which is totally fine. And not that you need to listen to all of our episodes or anything like that or know anything about us, but we appreciate it.
Of course.
When you've taken a hot second to see who you're sitting down with.
You got to do homework.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're excited to sit down with you guys today. You guys are obviously founders of a business. I don't know where we want to start.
I just want to hear how it happened.
Okay.
I really want to hear how it happened. I want to hear dynamics of business partners because, well, we're all business partners, but CJ and I also have another business. So I think that's always really intriguing. And I just want to hear about how it happened because we love that stuff.
Yeah. How you guys know each other and where it kicked off from.
Very good. Well, I can get things started here. Picture this.
I love it already.
It's gonna be so good.
Are you a storyteller?
I'll let you be the judge of it. I need absolute silence.
It's the pause for me. I love
Opening
it.
scene.
Picture this. My wife and I were living in Sweden at the time. I was doing my master's of business over in Sweden. And we lived in a teeny tiny house. The house was probably about the size of this kitchen. But it was a house. It was a separate house. So picture this size of room. But
For those listening, just for context, it's not a very big room.
it's not a big
that we're
room.
in.
It's not a big room. And it wasn't a big house. But it was a full
A
house.
teeny
And it
tiny
was
house.
A teeny tiny house in a very small city in Sweden, not even like the big city. And it was so small that from the bed, you can actually turn off the kitchen sink. That's how small it was.
Oh my gosh.
And it was so small that we had a laundry machine in our shower. That was our laundry machine. And it was
How is that
What?
safe?
How did that work?
Did you just
that just
wash?
sounds like a van.
Did you live
The laundry
in a van?
machine was them washing their clothes while they had a shower. That
It
was
was
actually what it was.
Vancouver. There was a lot of drugs. I was in Sweden.
You actually wasn't in Sweden. This was just a weird trip. I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I'm sorry. Are you guys telling a story?
Go.
I thought
Go.
you invited us to
Respectfully, go.
No,
We're in a teeny tiny apartment in Sweden.
And there was a teeny tiny washing machine. And this machine, it was very European, but it was a Tasmanian devil of a machine, right? And it lived in our shower. And every time we did a load of laundry and it would go in the spin cycle, this thing would hop all across the bathroom floor. And it was just it was the bane of our existence doing laundry. We'd wear like stinky underwear for weeks because we just hated doing laundry. Every time my wife and I would have to tag team this, like sit on it, wrestle it. And anyways, so we, after one particularly bad evening of losing this fight with this washing machine, we gave up, and we were just sitting there and just soaking wet laundry all over our little tiny house. And I was going like, what are we doing here? And it just dawned on me. I said, you know what? Everyone is so focused on local craft beer, farm to table fresh food. Everyone wants to support local, but how come nobody wants to support laundry, like clothing that was made locally? So what if our laundry could be local? And so I got this great idea. I ran back to school, did a bunch of research, watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and Googled a bunch of stuff. And I came back and I said, babe, I got it. I'm going to start a clothing company. She goes, that's a terrible idea.
Thanks,
she
babe.
said that. She said that. She said, what do you know about clothes? She says, you can barely dress yourself. Look at you. Your pants are still tucked in your socks. Before we came to Sweden, you had your mom come buy all the clothes for you. What do you know about clothing? So I don't know anything about clothing, but I got a good idea for a clothing company. And it was going to be around Calgary designs, and it was about making people's laundry local. And it didn't quite click because she says, well, what are you going to call this silly idea anyways? That's the best part. That's the best part. Calgary community t-shirts.
No.
Oh, no.
That is a terrible name.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So glad you changed it.
So glad. I'm thankful for your wife.
You
Yes.
and my wife would get along great.
I bet.
I feel like you two are, no, but she says, I was like, well, you don't like that name? What would you call it? And we were still sitting with all this laundry all over the place. She's like, well, you want to, like, all about supporting local? And she's like, I don't know, why don't you call it local laundry? I'm like,
I hope she gets royalties.
she does.
Yeah.
She does, yeah. In the way of foot rubs.
Those are the best.
Yeah, those
Here
are the
for
best.
it.
But yeah, so that's really where the idea came from. I really thought that clothing was a representation of our values. It could bring people together. How we choose to dress ourselves is either a conscious or subconscious decision of how we want to be perceived in this world. Right? It's how we find our community. It's what brings people together. And I really thought that we could bring people together, the shared common values of building community, helping each other grow, and really representing where we come from. And so I just Googled a bunch of stuff. $50 later, I originally used a website called Hipster Logo Generator to come up with the initial designs. I
love this.
It's a real website. It still works. Fantastic. And that's where the business really started. So I was living in Sweden. The shirts were actually getting printed in LA and then shipped to Calgary.
Okay, so quick question. How long were you in Sweden for? And why were you in Sweden for school?
That's another good question.
Yeah.
I really wanted to do an MBA, and I looked at the U of C right down the road.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at it right now.
Beautiful
Literally.
campus, great program, 2 years, $75,000.
Whoa.
No thanks. So I'll never forget. I remember all these programs I was looking at. You had to write a GMAT test for.
What's that?
Exactly.
You're looking at all these girls who like dropped out of university because we're like, no thanks.
I got
So
2
you're gonna have
years
to
in.
explain some of
That's
this.
it.
It was the standardized tests like the SATs,
Oh, okay,
MCAT
okay.
that you had to write to get an
okay,
MBA
okay.
program. So I bought the book. I sat down, opened the book. I read the first page.
Close the book.
2 minutes later, I was like, this is not for me. So I Google searched, big fan of Google, and I Google searched 1 year MBA programs, no GMAT necessary. And now, if you couldn't tell from my ginger beard, for those who listen, I have a very lovely ginger beard. My parents are from Ireland, so I have EU citizenship. And so I found a university that was a 1 year program in Sweden that didn't require GMAT, and it was free for European citizens.
Whoa.
So I was just like, well, this is a no-brainer. So I told my girlfriend, my wife, who was then my girlfriend at the time, said, hey, I'm moving to Sweden. Would love for you to come. And she's like, where are you going in Sweden? Like, oh, like Stockholm? Like the big capital? Like, that'd be pretty cool. I was like, no. Like, not quite. And she's like, oh, like Gothenburg. Like, not as cool, but pretty cool. And I was like, nah, not Gothenburg. We're in a teeny tiny town called Gävle, which is like pretty much northern Sweden. It was a very, very small town. And she was like, okay, well, let's go figure it out. And so we went there. We lived there. I studied. It was really great, and it was there that I put everything into. I want to start a business. I want to become an entrepreneur. My parents were very successful. They are very successful entrepreneurs, and I wanted to, I wanted to create a life for myself. I wanted to find something to build my community, to grow and have fun and give back, and so it was there that I just poured my everything into this business. But then I moved back from Sweden. I met Dustin, and he's the one who really kind of helped turn it into a big boy business.
A big boy business.
I'm like, I am waiting for like,
Where does
enter
me.
Enter.
He's been so silent over
just
there
like,
now.
I'm waiting.
So while he was in a little tiny house in Sweden, where were you?
What were you doing?
No, I was in a little tiny house in Holland, actually.
Are you serious?
I did, but this was undergrad.
Oh, okay.
So if anyone in university is listening
Closer.
and they're considering a semester abroad, highly recommend it. My girlfriend at the time, also now wife, we did quite a bit of traveling around there. But it was through that program and through some of the things that I'd done at the university that I became friends with a gentleman named Anil. And Anil is someone that Connor worked with when he came back after his MBA, working at a tech company here in Calgary. And it was complete random, just a mutual connection, put us in touch. As Connor mentioned, the initial local laundry iteration one was working with a on-demand t-shirt provider, so a company called The Printful. And essentially what you do is you set up your website, you upload all your design files, someone orders from your website, they know nothing of this happening, but in the back end, it goes to The Printful in LA. They take a blank t-shirt from their warehouse, they digitally print your design, and they ship it out to the customer.
Right, so there's like no inventory.
Zero. Which
Yes.
is great for someone who's recently graduated
It's
from
almost like
university.
drop shipping?
Almost. Yeah.
Kind of.
So it's called on demand, right? So no inventory.
yeah.
So if anyone wants to start a t-shirt business or design business, highly recommend it because it lets you test your concept, right?
Yeah.
Local laundry or Calgary community shirts at the time was an idea. And the initial idea was just that. It was actually community shirts, right?
Yeah.
So things like Kensington and Marda Loop and all the different communities in Calgary. And the YYC design, which is what really, launched us and became the iconic symbol that we've trademarked, and we won a battle with the YYC Calgary Airport.
Ooh, I want to hear about that.
That sounds juicy.
Well, a little thing called the pandemic happened, and time just was on our side on that one, I'll say. But local laundry, shipping out of LA, Calgary-based, all about Calgary community, it didn't really jive. So I was working for a promotional company at the time while I was in university. It was a family friend of ours, and our mutual friend just said, hey, you guys should meet for coffee. Connor wants to do more local. I know how to print shirts, or at least know the people who can print shirts. And so that's how it all started. We randomly met for a coffee, kind of sat down, and I loved the concept. I had just graduated from university myself. I'd studied business and entrepreneurship. I'd started one company before, and I was really interested in e-commerce, which is what this was. And I loved the notion that it celebrated Calgary, very passionate about the city and about the entrepreneurship community in the city, and it gave back, right? At the very onset, Connor said 10% of all profits go back to local charities. So that was a big piece for me because I did a lot of kind of social entrepreneurship in university. So we dated for 3 months before we officially got married, and we haven't looked back ever since.
Do you want to know what though? So CJ and I just did an episode where Megan introduced us as business partners, and we were like, it's essentially a marriage.
It
Like
is.
you're so involved with each other. Like we're like, we probably should do some like marriage counseling eventually. Like,
Yeah, I
we
don't
say
know
I'm
how you
like,
guys
other
feel.
than my husband, she's the one I'm actually in the most communication with. So I totally get it. I love that you dated.
We've done counseling before.
Yeah.
How
Great.
was it?
Oh, it's fantastic. I think every married couple and every business partner should go through it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, because
Oh my
we've
gosh, there
actually
we
said,
go.
we joked at the beginning of the podcast, like we should probably go to therapy together. And then we were like, but actually we probably should.
Why not?
Yeah.
I think we should just start having a therapist on and we record it. Is what I think.
Great.
is
That's great
where-
content.
That is
That's
great
great
content.
Well, that segues into my next business, which I'm also a certified therapist. So feel free to open up.
I feel like you'd probably a
Don't know how
really
you feel.
good therapist. Just like first impressions.
You'd be like,
here.
picture this.
He's like,
Okay, keep going though. I'm interested in like what happened next. You're like, okay, we're doing this like LA, Calgary, it's all over the place. Then what?
So we brought it local. It's hard to do t-shirts and everything at the beginning. So I think the initial thing we launched on was hats, right? It was really easy for me to get hats, one color, one SKU. We got them embroidered locally. We started selling them like any great business out of our trunk, which was great. The system was very imperfect. We'd meet, Connor would store all the inventory in his parents' basement. We would get our orders kind of throughout the week, and I think twice a week we'd meet somewhere downtown. He'd give me he'd pull up in his trunk, he'd give it to me in a box, I'd put it in my trunk, we'd drive away. People probably thought we were drug dealers. And I would take them home, and I'd be the one, after work, packing boxes late at night, and then standing in line for an hour at the post office, upsetting everyone behind me who had to wait because I had boxes of stuff to ship out. And it just continued to grow from there.
So were you working another job?
We both were.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this was like side hustle-esque to begin with.
Yeah,
okay.
Very side hustle-esque. We both had full-time jobs. Connor was working at a tech company in sales. I was working at a bank in finance, doing small business finance, which very applicable to this. And Connor being the great storyteller, who is a great storyteller, but every story also needs to be sold and needs to have some numbers and structure behind it. And that's what I provide to the team. I don't tell great stories. I'm the boring guy in the background who just crunches the numbers and gives them a thumbs up or thumbs down.
You're like, go for it or denied.
Yeah.
How did your spouse, did you get married when you were in Sweden?
No.
No, after, but also now you're both married. How did your wives feel about this partnership?
Well, we actually don't call them our wives. We call them our sugar mamas.
Oh,
Because
I love this.
they both had very well-paying jobs that could afford our pipe dreams. So my wife's a nurse, and Dustin's wife works in oil and gas. So very, very supportive, both of them. Both emotionally and financially. So
emotionally is probably the biggest one. Yeah. I mean, as you can imagine, so Connor was 2 years before he took the leap full time. So for 2 years we went, as hard as we could until Connor, I'll let you tell that story. You were in a very fun place at the time, but not having such a fun time, and finally made the decision. And then for me, it was 5 years. So we actually hired someone in between, but it was 5 years of working a full-time job before it made sense to be able to draw a salary out of the company. And I think, for me, you look at a lot of entrepreneurs that they pull the trigger super early, right? They're like, I'm going to quit my job, I'm going to start a company, and kudos, all the best to them. But one thing I learned at the bank in giving advice and giving financing is seeing like there's a cost to start the business, right? And not only is there a cost to start the business, but there's a cost on the personal side with your family. And business, everyone is always far more optimistic, but it takes a long time to get that ROI. And so, we looked at it as like, we don't want to put our families in jeopardy, right? We want to be smart about this. We know we're not on to this next tech company that's going to raise millions of dollars. We're selling t-shirts, right? So we have to be a little bit realistic here. And so we knew that there was a certain way we wanted to grow the business, which was organically. We have a huge part of giving back to the community, and we didn't want investors coming in and, putting pressure on trying to have a quicker return. We wanted it to be about building community. And so we took things slow. It's been slow organic growth since the start.
Well, I think that's an important message to get out there, for people who are looking to go into entrepreneurship or small businesses, right? They often make the leap, possibly, I'm not going to say too early, but maybe, right? In hindsight, they look back and they're like, I put all my chips into this basket, and they're like, oh, I could have maybe done this smarter and had less hardship on myself. Connor, I'm curious on your journey on, Dustin alluded to it, but when you transitioned from your job to full-time with local laundry.
Yeah.
The happiest place on earth.
Were you at Disney?
Were you at Disneyland?
The adult version of Disneyland.
Vegas?
No, I was so many things just went through my head. Okay, continue.
So picture this. I was working in sales at a tech company here in Calgary, and it was a really great job because my boss lived in Florida, and I was the only sales guy in the office, and I just kind of did whatever I wanted. And most of the time, I was going to take calls to work on local laundry. I was the worst employee. So, oh, hey guys, sorry, I'm just going to book this room. I got a call here. And I just go work on local laundry. And that was fantastic. They really liked me because I made tea at 3. One of the traditions I brought home from Sweden, they have a thing called fika, which is 3 o'clock every day. Boss goes around ringing a bell. Everyone stops work, gets together in the kitchen, has a coffee and kicks, and it's just a nice little get together, stop work, have some caffeine, have a little sweet treat, and get to know one another and just relax. And it's a really nice tradition and get you through the rest of the day. So I brought that back to my old company. So we did tea at 3 with Connor, and I go around and I make tea for everyone because I didn't drink coffee. I made tea at 3 for everyone, and everyone loved that. So they couldn't get rid of me because I can't get rid of the tea, right?
He's so wholesome with his tea at 3.
Indispensable.
3 o'clock caffeine hit. And so one day there was on the marketing team, they're like, oh my gosh, we forgot about this conference in Vegas we signed up for. Who signed up for this? Oh, it was the girl we fired. She signed up. Oh, but we're committed. We paid. Someone's got to go to this conference as like a booth, a vendor. Not just like go and attend. That would have been fantastic. But it was like, no, we got a booth. We paid everything.
That is the worst.
Right?
Yeah.
And so they're like, well, Connor's not doing much. Send him.
He's just making us tea at 3.
Yeah,
Did they set up somebody to make tea while you were gone?
Oh, no, it was devastating.
Big move.
They all went to shit.
It was chaos. And that was really the beginning of the end. But they just like, Connor, we got to send you this conference. And this was a week before I was about to get married. And so like a lot going on. And I go to my wife, I'm like, babe, like they're sending me to Vegas. And it's like a week before our wedding. She's like, oh, no. And I was like, well, I kind of got to go. I don't do much else. So I went. And let me tell you, Vegas is probably the saddest place in the world to go by yourself.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Because I don't drink. I'm about to get married in a week. So I'm at this conference that nobody wants to be at, that like our company didn't even want to be at. We only went because I paid for it. And the only thing that excited me was they had an In-N-Out burger.
Oh my gosh, I love In-N-Out.
Right? So that was like the only gleaming hope. So, but when you're eating In-N-Out burger by yourself on the strip,
It's like glorious and so sad at the same time.
And it was when I was on my, third burger out of the soggy bottom bag, animal style, and I was like, you know what? Maybe this isn't for me. And so I called Dustin almost in tears. I'm like, listen, guy, I'm out. I gotta quit this job. I gotta go full time. Like, what am I doing? I'm in Vegas by myself eating cheeseburgers a week before my wedding. Get me out. Get me full time with the business. Let's figure it out.
Okay, so I was going to ask, because in a marriage, you make decisions together. So obviously that would have to been something that you're like, can we pay me so I can leave?
Yeah.
And what was your response to this? Were you like, I can't understand you because you have cheeseburgers there?
Sorry, the connection
I need you to take a drink, bud.
Amidst all the screams in the background.
Where on the strip were you when you called? Because I think that makes a difference. Oh, you were in In-N-Out Burger when you called him?
No. I was walking the strip back to my hotel.
Yeah.
Filled
burger.
The Bellagio fountains are going off in the back.
You were in the casino.
a belly full of cheeseburger and a heart full of shame.
Oh.
That's your next shirt. A belly full of cheeseburger, heart full of shame.
Trademark.
Hashtag YYC. Just kidding. I'm totally kidding. I'm kidding.
You called me, and I specifically remember just like the dinging of slot machines in the back, and just the sadness in his voice.
Oh,
It's like, for you, buddy, anything.
so romantic.
He pulled on your heartstrings.
No, we had been talking about it for a while, and I know it was a path that one of us had to make the jump. Right, we were getting busier. Connor was getting married. I'd been married for 2 years by that time, kid on the way, so responsibility starting to happen, and so we knew it was going to happen. And he made the call, and I said, let's do it. Let's figure out how we can make it happen. Right, let's run the numbers, and let's figure out how we can make it happen. And so it was not long after that call.
And you were just doing hats at this point, or you had already started doing shirts?
We doing shirts, sweaters, hats.
Okay, sorry. So back it up then, because you said you started with shirt or hats.
We started with hats. So we were still running on the Printful, and we started
Right.
with hats as
Right.
like the first thing that we could take on locally because it was much easier. And so we started running hats locally, and we were still selling our t-shirts and sweaters and hoodies and everything else out of LA. Now, where that started to get a little bit tricky is someone order a t-shirt and a hat. It's like, well, great, but the t-shirt's coming from LA and the hat's coming from Calgary. Now, one of the craziest things about that, and we've learned a lot about, logistics and shipping and everything else, but it would be cheaper to ship that t-shirt or hoodie or sweater from LA to Calgary than it was to ship a hat from Calgary to Calgary.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you guys know.
Oh, yes.
So that was an interesting learning. But we very quickly, once we started to have more customers and more sales and people buying more than just a hat and a t-shirt combined, we had to get off of the Printful, and we had to start to invest in our inventory. And right around that same time, we had stores start to reach out who also wanted to start to carry us. And I think we can argue whether or not there's luck in business. I believe there's luck. Connor believes you create your own luck. But there is luck in timing, right? And we were very fortunate in timing because there was a demand for something that was local in Calgary, right? People to wear something that proudly represented where they came from.
This episode is sponsored by BW Beauty. You guys, if you want to brighten up your smile quickly and easily, then you need to try BW Beauty's at-home organic teeth whitening kit. I recently tried the BW whitening kit to brighten up my smile, and I have to tell you, it was so easy, and I am super happy with the results. Everything you need to get safe dental-grade whitening is in this kit, including super detailed and easy-to-follow instructions that make the process a breeze. From application to finish took me about 25 minutes. I applied in the bathroom and then I just sat back and relaxed for 20 minutes and I read my book while it processed and had a little self-care time. My teeth felt so clean after, and because BW Beauty's organic whitening gel is the perfect balance of active ingredients and stain-removing toughness without the typical sensitivity, I did not feel a thing. This is huge, you guys. Each kit will give you 12 at-home whitening sessions, and because this treatment does a deep clean of your teeth, they're actually going to continue to whiten over the 2 weeks post-treatment. So this is something to keep in mind when you're getting ready for those events. You know we have an exclusive discount for you guys too. Use code HERSMILE for 10% off when you order your kit online. I love that BW Beauty's whitening gel is certified organic, vegan, and cruelty-free, and it's crafted by Canadian dental professionals. So you are getting dental-grade teeth whitening at home with ease. This is so good, you guys. It's a no-brainer. You'll find BW Beauty on Instagram at BWBeautyYXE and head online to use your code HERSMILE at bwbeautyYXE.com to order your at-home organic teeth whitening kit. And once again, use code HERSMILE to save 10% off your order. We are going to link all of this in the show notes for you guys too.
And there was timing in Calgary was in a bit of a regional recession, right? So the rest of the country was kind of, still doing okay, but 2015 was not a great time for Calgary. A lot of layoffs in the oil and gas sector, the energy sector was down. And so Calgary was feeling a little bit of a hit. So I think it needed a little bit of connection at the time, right? People wanted to proudly still show that even though things aren't going great, we still want to show up. We still want to proudly represent that we're Calgary. So I think from a timing perspective, we're very fortunate. So we never really had to learn how to do hard sales, right? We never had to learn how to run the ROAS game of online marketing through Facebook and Google. We marketed organically on social media through Instagram. And again, timing wise, this was kind of the very start of Instagram. So we grew pretty fast on there. But we also had a logo, which was a huge full chest YYC logo, which again has become a bit of an icon in the city, but people recognized it, they saw it, they wanted it, and became very easy. So we became very fortunate that we grew very quickly on Instagram. And that really kind of helped us, get to where we are today.
Were you guys doing any sort of markets or pop-ups during this time as well?
Yeah, but we did a ton of local markets. But we did stumble upon kind of what we call our successful formula, and it worked really well on Instagram at the time, which was collaboration. And so our brand since the beginning has always been about building community, and we've kind of made that our North Star, right? Everything we do is about building community. So you mentioned partnerships in marriage and decision making. It becomes a little bit easier when you have that sort of guiding principle, right? Because it's not like, Connor, my idea is way better than your idea. We're not doing your idea. It's what is in the best interest of building community. So it kind of removes, both of our egos, which at times can be a little bit inflated, I'll admit. But it removes that from the equation, right? It's what is in the best interest of building community.
It's so interesting listening to you because I keep thinking about CJ and I in business, and I'm like, yes, this is like exactly what it is. And I think that we like say like your North Star, like what's your North Star? And then you're able to, whenever someone has an idea, and the thing CJ and I always say to each other when we have an idea, I'll be like, I think we should do this. And she'll look at me and I'll be like, just go here with me for a second. Like, let's at least just step into that idea. And usually we'll come to the like, does this align with that North Star? Yes, no, okay, go.
What is your business?
We own a social media management business.
Oh, fun.
Yes. And then the podcast, right? So we have like 2 businesses. And Megan also owns a product-based business, Elizabeth Lynn Jewelry.
Oh, fantastic. Are you wearing any?
Of course I am.
All of it.
All of it.
Except
Very
your
nice.
rings.
Except my rings.
Don't look at the hand.
Don't look at my rings. But okay, so I want to just touch on building community because I think that sometimes people can use that a little bit as a buzzword when they don't understand what building community really means. So can you guys speak to what that actually means for you, for your brand, and how you do that?
Mm-hmm. Great question. For
Thank you.
For us, it comes down to relationships. Both Dustin and I were absolutely obsessed with people. We're not in the clothing business. We're in the people business.
That's good.
We're going to clip that.
Thank you.
That's definitely from the
No. But that's really how we feel. Both Dustin and I we're obsessed with people. And I'll tell you how you build a community. It's one authentic relationship at a time, right? It's one getting to know someone, getting to know what they need, getting to know how they're feeling, one person at a time, right? And you can't do that. And that's one of the things that, you know what? Yeah, we don't have a massive marketing budget to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on Facebook ads. We don't have massive production team and come out with the coolest, hippest designs, But you know what we do have?
Yeah, these are pretty cool.
They're pretty cool.
I like those. Those are super cool.
Yeah, they look really great.
But no one is going to be able to connect with people the same way that Dustin and I can do it. And we both do it in very different ways, very different ways. And, we had a little bit of a reminder of that the last couple of weeks. Sales have always just kind of came into us inbound. And the last, month or two, sales weren't walking in the door like they used to. So you know what we did? Just pick up the phone. We're calling 10 people a day. Right? Dustin's calling e-commerce customers. I'm calling our custom clients, and we're just talking to people. And people are just shocked. They're like, hello? Who is this? Send me an email?
So what are you saying to them when you call them?
Oh, very.
Hello?
Hi there. My name's Connor Curran. I'm one of the owners of Local Laundry. We are entirely Canadian-made clothing, and we are currently manufacturing and producing custom Canadian-made collections for different organizations that want to show their support for local Canadian manufacturing and a diverse Canadian economy.
Okay.
So I'd be like, so why'd you call me?
Yeah.
Why'd I call you? Because I looked you up, and our values, it seems like our values align. It seems like you are out there supporting local, that you want to support local, that you want to support Canadian-made. I could be wrong, but I'd love the opportunity to collaborate, connect, see if we can help each other grow.
Okay, I thought when you said you were calling people, you were calling current clients.
Well, both.
That's
You
what
are.
you're, okay, that is
Okay.
what you're doing.
Dustin's calling, yeah.
Like being like, hey, you've worked with us before. Like,
So it's a
can
little
we
bit of
talk
both.
about it? Okay,
Love
okay, that's
that.
what. But
So-
you're not calling like individual people who've bought online.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's what
Okay.
Dustin's
Gosh, I
doing.
love
Okay,
this.
so
Yeah.
1 second, because I went to dinner with one of my best friends last night who lives in Calgary, and she asked me, who are you podcasting with? And I said, well, tomorrow we're podcasting with the guys who own Local Laundry. And she's like, starts laughing. I'm like, what? Do you have dirt on them or something? And she goes, no, last year, or was it last year that the Flames were in the playoffs? Mm-hmm. And you guys, I don't know if I'm getting the story wrong, but you had old Flames shirts or whatever. And you were like, hey, we found these. We're going to sell them, whatever. She bought one. And then she gets an email from you with a video clip.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she loved it. She was like, you have to watch this. And you were like, hi there. Thanks so much for like buying our shirt. Like, I can't remember what I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the best podcast interview ever.
Yeah.
So like, to me, people aren't doing stuff like that, but she's going to tell her people, then I'm going to tell people about that. Like, it's brilliant.
Yeah. And it just, that's what we love doing. It takes time. It takes a lot of effort, but we wouldn't have it any other way. That's how you build community. You want to build a community. Go out there and actually build with one relationship at a time. And over time, the magic of compounding interest, you're going to have a massive community, a community that is authentic, is genuine, and it wants to support you. There's no company out there that has a community that supports the company like ourselves. We are so supported by the community. And there's lots of different examples I can give. When we first moved into our warehouse, I think our biggest secret weapon is asking for help and utilizing our community and not saying like, hey, look at us. We're the fashionistas. We know everything. We're so cool. Check us out. It's no, hey, we're two dum-dums. We need help. Can anyone help us? Please, we need an adult. And so that came clear when we moved into our warehouse last year, and it was so big and we had no money for office furniture. So what do? Hop on LinkedIn, make a TikTok, say, hey, we moved to this warehouse. We have no money. Does anyone have any extra furniture? And we had trucks coming by, dropping off chairs, desks, tables. An energy company's like, come, we're getting rid of 3 floors worth of stuff. It's going to the dump. Come pick whatever you want. You come to our warehouse, we have the nicest furniture you've ever seen. Like standing desks, chairs, tables, bookshelves, shelving units. Like our warehouse, TVs. Our warehouse is we didn't pay $1 for any of it. And it's because everyone sees us, they see that we're real, we're genuine, we're authentic, and they want to help. People want to be part of your journey. Sometimes you just have to invite them in. People want to help, but they don't know how. So you have to give them a way to help and just ask.
So good. The power of asking for help.
I said, I had it on our Instagram page. I said the one day to someone, we were talking about this kind of endeavor, and I said, when you decide to do something, you have to be like confident enough to go for it, but humble enough to know you might need to ask for help along the way. And so to be able to be like, we're doing this really cool thing. And I think I say this to you guys all the time. I'm like, we just ask. You just ask, you go for it, you just ask for it. And there are going to be people who are like, look at these people asking for furniture. And you're going to get other people that are like, sweet, I was going to have to haul this and pay at the dump or something. And now I can just bring it here and it still has life in it or whatever. So I think that's super cool.
We're so concerned about what people think about it. We're so think about, that my friend from junior high who I'm on Instagram friends with and I haven't talked to in 8 years, what are they going to think? Who cares? Maybe Dustin has a little bit, but I have zero shame.
I love it.
I'm only laughing.
It's amazing.
Because I was laughing last night with my wife. Connor posted this TikTok, which is amazing.
Oh man, we need to watch the TikTok.
And I looked at it and said, "Can we swear on this podcast? Is that okay?"
Yes. It's fine.
You better flute and can.
Gosh darn
He's
it,
been
go
like
for
holding it in.
My response was, "There's no fucking way that I would ever post that because yes, I have maybe a little bit more."
It was an amateur strip tease.
Oh, on my phone. I literally went
Devin
to go
and
watch
Lang
it.
underwear.
Devin and Lang. No, it was not.
But it was funny, right? It was on trend. You use the trending audio. But I look at that and it's like Connor has this incredible superpower of not giving a shit what other people think. And I've been working on that, right? I've cared a little bit too much maybe about what people thought.
It's us. It's us.
Are you Dustin?
No.
You're me?
I'm
As
you.
me
Dustin?
sitting in the middle
I
of
was
like,
listening to the episode where you were
this
talking
is
about
wild.
this.
Because it's like you say North Star and I was like, hi CJ. And like you're being funny on TikTok.
You're like,
hi
picture
Erica.
this. And I'm always just like, okay.
Walk with me
Walk
here.
with me here.
It's wild
So
for
are
me.
you
sitting
more
in
the
middle.
head? You're more the heart?
Ooh, I've never thought of it like that.
No, I've never thought of it like that.
I think I've always discussed it more like just like our skill set. I've never said head or heart.
No,
That's
I've never said.
interesting.
How would you describe head and heart? Maybe that would help me.
You're
I
the
understand.
logical one. You're the emotional one.
Well, I'm
right?
like the operations
And I don't
like
mean
the
emotional-
systems.
Yeah, exactly.
That keeps it together.
Yeah.
I don't mean
totally.
emotional, but like,
yes.
I'm a very emotional
Like
person.
I sent them the
Well, she's
real.
like the
have you seen the
creativity.
Jack Sparrow run on TikTok when people do? So I sent it to them and was like, we have to do this when we're in Calgary. Because I like have no shame being in like a really cute outfit running down. And we did it last night. I was like running down. Like I just don't care. Because I'm like,
What's the point?
this will be funny. I'll never see these people again.
Who cares?
And it's like great content.
And I'm like, I
and
live
it's
here.
fun. Like,
Someone
I'm like-
could see me. I'm like, no, thanks.
Correct. Yes.
Well, what's the heart?
But then I'm like, okay, just think it through. Like, what's someone gonna? Right?
I'm like, come with
I'm
me,
working
CJ.
on it.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
I just realized that, we have these goals that we want to achieve, both for personally, for the company, for the community. And if what's getting in our way of achieving those goals is my vanity, my vanity or I already said
Dignity?
vanity.
There's none left.
But
But
who cares?
I would say then the flip side, because I don't want it to sound like we're like, come on, you guys. There's also thinking through some of our actions sometimes and being like, how do we?
Yeah.
Come on.
How do we? Well, the thing is, my husband is also. I have two of the same. I'm married to the exact same people, so I constantly have to be like, maybe I should think about this for a second.
Well, and her husband and me are family.
Yeah, so it's
Like, we're
literally
cousins.
like.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm just saying, like, I can see both sides that sometimes I have to like maybe rein it in a tiny bit in certain situations, but then that also means that when I want to go buck wild on something in the right situation, it's like, go
100%.
But
do
that,
it.
that's what makes a partnership so
Yes.
successful. And that's ultimately what makes a business so successful. A business is just a set of relationships. That's it. And how your relationship with your customers, but the most important relationship in the business is the business partner relationship. And that's why we've been in this 8 years, and that's what the number one reason we found most of the businesses that have started around the same time as us have failed. It's been a failure of relationships, and most importantly, been a failure of the business partner relationship. And that's why I think you need the yin and the yang.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you and I would just be making TikToks all day, not worrying about how much
We're
money's
like, why
coming
is
in.
no one buying anything?
Yeah. And if it was just you two all day, you'd be sitting behind spreadsheets.
Well, they wouldn't make a
Yes.
decision.
Yeah.
Maybe, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you'd be like, you'd
So-
be wanting it to maybe be perfect before you did something.
I really value our differences, and
Same.
I know for sure that I could not do this by myself, and it never would have gotten off the ground. I'd still be in Vegas crying.
I can't
He'd be on his
It's like looking in a
75th
mirror, although
cheeseburger.
I've never been in Vegas, but I was like, I say that all the time. I'm like, I have my own superpowers. You even said the word superpower. Like, that's what I say. I'm like, I have this superpower.
What's your superpower?
Well, it's my ADHD. It makes me like this, right? Like, I'm like, I can think of an idea and I can pivot and I'm good with people, and I can call up someone and say, hey, I'm Erica from Carousel Media Management. I see your page. Like, can we talk? Blah, blah, blah. That's a superpower, but that she also has superpowers that are very integral to her business.
What's your superpower?
Organized AF?
Yeah, I guess probably like systems and
Oh,
operations.
she's so good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Our business, if it was just me, would be 1,000 journals that I have no idea what's in what. They're all stacked on my desk.
And I was just saying that today too to Tyler. I think like if CJ wasn't here, we wouldn't be standing here. Like this podcast, Erica and I would still be talking about it. It would not be happening.
What's your superpower?
What's my superpower?
She's like intentional. I said that really bad. Intentional to the like 10th degree. So her questions and her observations with people. So when we're in a podcast, we actually say like, CJ is like super analytical. So she is like, can you speak to that? Like, tell me about that system. Or like, she's really like in tune with that. And then Megan's like very more emotional. Like, she's like, how did that make you feel? And then I'm usually saying,
What's for breakfast?
I'm literally like, how do I diffuse the tension right now? And then I say something and I'm like,
Let's use humor.
So which way do
Let's
you
use
lean?
humor.
More logical, more emotional?
I'm so emotional.
She's so emotional.
I'm so emotional.
And again, I want to clarify. I don't mean emotional.
No. Like crying or like.
But in
Yeah.
touch with emotions and
Yeah.
I always say for me, business is so emotional.
well, it has
Like,
to
and
be,
my partner
yeah.
doesn't necessarily understand that because he's like, well, what's the numbers and la 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 la, and like my partner in life, not my business partner.
Do you have a business partner?
No,
Do you want one?
no.
Why not?
I like to do things when I like to do things.
And you feel like a business partner would hold you back from that?
I just
When did we become the interview?
So
so this is where I'm on the couch.
Literally like.
I've been a solo entrepreneur for a very long time. So for me, even like this dynamic has been a very big growing experience for me.
Oh yeah, we've had some real hard conversations, the three of us, right? To work through and to
Any examples?
get out of here. I want to hear.
You're making me
Stop.
anxious right now.
Stop. That's enough. I don't even know what we were talking
But
about.
I'll tell you the one thing that the testament to Dustin and I's relationship. We, been working together for almost 8 years now. We've never once gotten into a major argument. We never yelled, never shouted at each other. We disagree all the time, but I think it is a testament to our relationship and to the business. It's so key to our success. If we were the same, it wouldn't worked out. If we didn't have the same values, we made it very clear at the very beginning. We both had wives, families. We both gave everything up. I gave up drinking 6 years ago. We both said, like, we're not going to party. We're not going out partying, drinking on the weekends. Like, if it's not fitness, family, or business, we're cutting it out. And that's
Wow.
exactly
Good for
what
you.
we did. So
Okay, so you just touched on it. You said values, but I'm like, if you could give advice to, you're looking at two people who are like, we're going to go in business together. Or someone comes to you and is like, I want to start a business, but I know I need a business partner. I'd love to hear both of your pieces of advice for what you look for in a business partner. I know you've kind of touched on it, but
Sure, I'll go. So different skill sets, different backgrounds, right? That's really important, is diversity. Connor and I are yin and yang, right? I have skill sets that he does not have, and he has skill sets that I do not have, nor do I have a desire to possess those. So that's really important, right? Because it helps to counterbalance each other. The other thing, which Connor mentioned on, is similar values, right? You have to share similar values. If not, it's just not going to work. And the third is you have to have a similar vision and path, right? Because ultimately, if you have one founder that's like, no, we're going to get rich in 3 years and cash out, it's a very different business, very different style than someone says, we're playing the long game, slow organic growth, that's the way. And so you have to have those early conversations. They're difficult conversations, but you have to have them. Because otherwise, we've seen it so many times, right? Founders They just don't work.
Grow apart.
Yeah.
I think you said it so good because as you were saying it, I'm like, that's exactly what it is. It's like, because when you asked us this on the podcast, we like didn't really know how to answer it, but I think it's like different skills, same values and vision. That's beautiful. I think that's like a most perfect bow on a little, here's what you need to make the magic happen.
Well, and you've said like so many business partners that you've seen that started at the same time have fallen apart.
Yeah.
So this kind of piggybacks on what you already said, but I'm like, what is foundational or core key for you guys to be able to stay together, to have good communication? And how do you guys have hard conversations about things that you disagree about?
He makes a TikTok going off and then he sees it.
You guys would not believe what Dustin said to me. I wanted a fridge full of Sprite, and he said no. It costs us too much money.
I would say that. I will use the word, I believe this is Paul Graham uses this example, but it's called schlepping.
Ooh.
And essentially it's willing to do the dirty work, right? Willing to put in the work. And, I'd say there's maybe an extent to which we wouldn't go as far, but I think that's also what makes the partnership good. Like, I'll give an example. So Connor and I spent a lot of evenings and weekends at markets, right? Just trying to sling product, trying to grow the business. A lot of evenings and weekends shipping product, right? We knew that it took a certain amount of time and effort to grow the company, and we were willing to do that. But if Connor was like, hey, I think it's time to grow in Toronto, like, we got to go to Toronto, I'm out, right? My family's here. I'm not leaving. The business is not more important than my family. I'm not going to make that commitment. So I think that's something, again, we shared a lot of the same values where it's like, this business is here to serve us and our families, not the other way around. And so I have two friends that very similar, one, they started an incredible company, and one moved to Serbia for basically a month and a half, 2 months at a time to work on the software development for this app. Meanwhile, the other founder, was flying all over the US to raise money, and they were just, they were both on the same, they were both willing to do it. But I, who might have a different skill set and might be a great fit for that company in terms of the values, I don't share the same values, so it wouldn't have been a good fit. So that's also a really important piece where you have to both be on the same page.
That makes a lot of sense. I've seen you guys in your warehouse. I think you have like a fat stack of books, like on a big book. Do you have a bookshelf with like a lot of books?
Yep.
So I'm like, I think you guys are avid readers.
Yeah.
Is this correct?
We started a business book club.
Okay, tell us
I
about
want to
that.
be in the business book club.
Come on in.
How do you
The
get to be
water's
in the
lovely.
business?
We just did. We just got entered in.
Great.
So I want to back up because you did not do a justice to talking about building community, because
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, I
back
thought
that.
you were about to be like, I want to
Yes.
back it up. Our book club is full.
They're not,
no more room.
Because you don't look at the numbers.
They're not invited.
You don't know it's full.
We're at 5, and we want to keep it at an even number.
Building community.
Okay, building community. So this is Connor's superpower, right? And I don't say that lightly because the superpower is a big word, but building community is Connor's. We, throughout the course of the company, have been able to meet and collaborate with so many incredible people and organizations. And a lot of that stems from, I talked about, we kind of figured out this Instagram algorithm, right? Our growth tool. And we refer to it as our spoke, right? Our hub. And early on, what we would do is we would find other local businesses that were kind of in a similar position, right? Just kind of getting started, or they were a staple in the Calgary community and they wanted to grow. And Instagram, work clothing, it was great tool imagery. So we would set up with these, what we would call these mega clubs, right? And we'd bring together 6, 7, 8 different business owners, and we'd all get together and we'd get a photographer who was also in the same spot, like early, trying to grow their portfolio, wanted to work with local brands. And we'd all just meet up. And you led most of these. I wasn't even there for a lot of them, but it would be everyone just getting to know each other, and everyone was in a similar position where they wanted to grow. And so we'd get pictures, everyone would be in our sweaters, we'd have coffee, we'd have cocktails, we'd have a local brewery that'd have their beer. And the whole premise was just to be able to support and promote one another. And so these are the mega clubs that like really helped us get our start. And you'd have, again, 8 businesses, let's say 2 co-founders of each one, so it's 16 people plus a photographer. All of a sudden that one image is getting shared by so many different people. And so
Brilliant.
that was one way, and that goes back to, we had pillars of building community, and one of them was to collaborate and share stories from the community, right? So we would work with athletes, we'd work with other local businesses, we'd work with influencers, we'd work with anyone who had a story to tell, and we would use our platform as a way to share that story.
This episode is sponsored by BW Beauty. If you want to brighten up your smile quickly and easily, then you have to try BW Beauty's at-home organic teeth whitening kit. You guys, I love this kit because it only takes 20 minutes per session. And you guys, I love a habit stack, and you can use a habit stack here. Put on your teeth whitening and then take that 20 minutes to read a book, listen to a podcast, unwind, watch a show, catch up on some messages. Your teeth will be whiter in no time. BW Beauty offers safe dental grade whitening in the comfort of your home with their kit. BW Beauty's whitening gel is the perfect balance of active ingredients. It has stain removing toughness with little to no sensitivity, and it is expertly crafted and formulated by dental professionals here in Canada. You guys, these products are a favorite among dentists, so you know you're using the best at home. The kit includes super detailed and easy to follow instructions to make the process a breeze. Each kit is going to give you a minimum of 12 at-home whitening sessions. That breaks down to a cost of $10 per session. Let's compare that to like a $600 whitening treatment in a dental office. Ordering from BW Beauty for their whitening kit is a no-brainer. And you guys, we have an exclusive discount code for you. Use the code HERSMILE at checkout to save 10% off of your kit online. This is such a great offer because you can order it no matter where you're listening from. You're going to want to head to bwbeautyYXC.com to order your home organic teeth whitening kit, or follow them at bwbeautyYXC on Instagram. And again, use code HERSMILE, HERSMILE, to save 10% off on your order.
So that was the start. But then from there, Connor's gone on to build, and I won't take any credit, the Business Book Club, the Business Basketball Club, Startup and Beers, which has over 600.
Say that. What title?
Startup and Beers.
What's that?
So at the very start of the business, we wanted to meet with other business owners because we were new. We wanted to grow a network and learn from other people. And so we were having coffee after coffee after coffee, and it was getting exhausting. But all these people were in the same position. So Connor had the brilliant idea. He's like, well, let's just all get together and do it at once. So we had our Startup and Beers #1 at his parents' pub. So everyone met, we had beer, and we talked about all our startups. And there was probably, maybe 10 people in the room. And then we did it again, and there was like 20 people. And then we're like, okay, we're kind of onto something. And then slowly but surely, we started to grow this group, which is now over, I think, 600 small business owners and people from the community in Calgary who are part of our list. And we just had our last event a couple weeks ago. It capped it at 100. We had 100 people sign up, and it cost money. So the last one was $10, or however much you want to donate. And every time we do it, we use it to raise money for a different charity. Wow. So last time we raised over $1,000. And the big message there, which we're huge proponents of, is just because you're a small business doesn't mean you can't have a big impact. So we use that as a way to, we're building community among small business owners, but one of our big things is we like to give back. We like to be charitable, be part of the community. One of our pillars is giving back. We want to raise $1 million for local charities by 2030. Mm-hmm. And so this is just kind of bringing that community together to help us all achieve that goal.
I listen to this and I love it because I think the mistake so often people do, and I'm all about knowing my vision, knowing my goals, knowing what I want from it. But I think we so often forget that not everything will always be like monetary. You might not always make money from it. Like sometimes it's just about doing the thing to build the community. And I find too often what I'm seeing. Did you say that community gets used too often when it's like we're building community, but there's clearly like transaction, and not that transaction is always a bad thing, but I think too often it is like, what am I getting from this? Other than even like, hey, I might just show up and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And I think that, I've done many pop-ups in markets over the years too, and some of them are well attended and some of them are terrible. And I'd be with other vendors and they'd be upset and whatever, and I'm just like, but like, look around, and what else of value are you getting out of this experience? Is it a connection? Is it building upon a relationship? I think that so often people are looking at like transactions and money, and yes, we all need to make money from our businesses, but we miss out on noticing and growing the value in other areas.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to join the Business Book Club.
Do your parents still have this pub?
They do.
Oh my gosh.
Indeed, yeah.
Can we get in there tonight?
Where is it?
It's on 8th Avenue, Stephen Ave, one block, like one street down from the Calgary Tower.
And what's it called? Sorry.
The James Joyce Irish Pub.
James Joyce. Let's go.
I need to go.
It is the best authentic Irish pub. You won't find a screen in there. So it's just you sitting down with your friends at the table.
I've been to Ireland.
These two need to leave their phones behind then.
So I'm literally like, you have to call and be like, there's these 3 girls going to come, save them a seat, because I'm guessing it's going to be packed.
Yeah, it'll probably be pretty busy.
I'll go and I'll be like, I need a secret word. We need a code.
Just say you know Connor.
It's like everyone knows Connor. He owns a business.
There was a tiny house in Sweden.
It was a tiny house in Sweden.
Okay, I want to touch on quickly the local charities. So you guys, I pulled the stat off of your website that you've raised over $200,000 for local charities. I'm so curious. How do you choose what charities to work with? Like, what does that process look like? Because I would imagine there's a lot to choose from and you'd want to help everybody.
Yeah, 100%. It becomes quite difficult. We just made the decision very long ago. The charitable component was always baked in right from the very beginning. We had it started off as like $1 from every shirt goes back to a local charity. And then that wasn't really moving the needle. It wasn't that much. So then it was like, okay, 10% of profits are going to go back to charities. And then at the end of the year, Dustin came up to me. He's like, Connor, we got to stop saying that. I was like, why? He's like, we're giving way more than 10%. It's like, we're not making any money because we keep giving it all away.
There's been years where we've donated far more than we've profited.
And so now, we're on this mission to donate $1 million to local charities. And it was very difficult because a lot of brands that you see today, they hitch their wagon to one cause. A water cause, a cancer cause, a shelter cause, a kids cause. And those are all great causes. For us, we're like, well, what are we going to hitch our wagon to? Is it going to be trees? Is it going to be, is it going to be turtles? Like what,
The trees and turtles.
Like what could have the most impact? And we said, you know what? Our community is made up of such diverse and different people from different backgrounds. One cause is not going to mean enough to everyone. So we made the conscious decision to be what I like to call cause agnostic. And we support a variety of causes. There's almost no charity in Calgary that we haven't worked with at some point. And sometimes it's as small as making a $100 donation or going to volunteer or getting them to write a blog post on our website and pushing it out through social. Or sometimes it's events like this. Our next event, our next Start Beers is going to be raising money for a Team Canada national skeleton athlete. There is just cause after cause that are fantastic. And how could you choose one? How could you just choose one? There's so many people doing incredible work, and we just want to support however we can. And like I said, sometimes it's small, sometimes it's a little bit bigger, sometimes it's a collective effort, but we just think in this day and age, we want to leave the community a little bit better than we found it. We don't see it as giving back, because giving back implies that you took something. It's about improving the community.
And that leaves opportunity for different people to get excited.
Yeah, exactly.
And not that there's anything wrong with anyone who puts all their support behind turtles. No, but I'm like, I know for myself, I could get really excited seeing, oh my gosh, this month it's this or that is that, right? Like you might draw in a different crowd sometimes who are now introduced to your brand because of the cause even. So I think that's, again, like smart marketing.
100%. And so there's a variety of different ones. So we have our fundraiser tees, so like our fundraiser collection. So like just this past month, the Alberta wildfire, we whipped up a design, put it on a shirt, did a pre-sale, $10,000, to the Canadian Red Cross, just like that. And to your point, we had someone come in to pick up their wildfire tee from us to our warehouse, and she's like, oh, that's a really cute design. Can I buy that t-shirt as well? Yeah, absolutely. We've done stuff for the Ukraine. That was last year during the pandemic. With my wife being a nurse, we sold, we raised over $20,000 for the United Way COVID-19 Community Impact Fund. So that is one aspect. Then we have our giving garments, our toques, socks, and blankets for everyone that we sell. We donate one to a shelter in need across Canada. We've donated over.
Oh my gosh, we just took 3 toques from a shelter.
No.
That's the best part. Because you have them, we're giving 3
Oh my gosh, I was like,
We just gave.
Yeah.
Erica's like, oh, give it back. No, so how did you come up with the giving garments? Were you like, okay, what if we had a specific line that people can just it's easy to market, that
it came out of
you buy, we give.
It wasn't as sophisticated as that because we're not that smart. It came out of a need from the community. Everything we do comes back to community. I'm sure it gets pretty chilly in Saskatoon. But there was one January that I remember. This was about 3-4 years ago. It was so cold, and the shelters put out a plea to the media saying, we are out of toques, we're out of socks, we're out of underwear, we're out of towels, we're out of blankets. We are out. We can't give any more. And so I looked at Dustin and said, well, we don't make underwear, we don't make towels, but we make socks and toques. Like, is there some way that we can help? And so that's where the idea kind of came from. And there's a need every year. It's not like that need ever goes away. And it gets super cold here every single year. So we just thought, you know what? This is just one way that we can help. This is one way that we can support the community. So why not? Why not do this?
So you won top 40 under 40.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was really well deserved.
Yeah. Clearly. Did you say that when you accepted the award?
Yeah.
It's like when they've started to compliment me, I'll be like, oh, stop. Just kidding. Keep going. I'm like,
or you're like, I know. Thank you.
We said what took so long.
Right.
Did you both get it? You both got it.
Tell us about the whole top 40 under 40 situation.
Well, no one told us that in order to win, you actually have to apply. You have to get nominated. So for years, we were just sitting around like, how come we haven't won? And then someone's like, you have to get someone to nominate you. Or you have to apply. We're like, oh.
All these awards are
but
like
also
that.
you're like, how
That's
rude
what
these
we've
people
learned.
People be like,
just
guys, I've
nominated us.
been nominated for this. I'm like, but this is a lot of these awards. Actually, you nominate yourself.
You didn't nominate yourself, right? Nor did I.
Yeah.
No, someone else did.
The
I nominated
wives.
him, he
No, I'm just kidding.
nominated
Okay.
me.
I was like, your wives nominated you.
But that's the big thing about awards.
Yes.
If you're a business out there, apply for everything. Just Google small business awards, small business grants, apply for everything. You have ChatGPT now who can write the application.
True.
When we started actually, we sat back and we're like, how come we're not winning anything? And then it's like, oh, because we didn't apply. So we apply to everything. And awards are they're simultaneously the most meaningful and meaningless thing at the same time. They're
Except for that one.
Well, they're meaningless because it's like, yeah, you can nominate yourself and who's really picking these anyways and who cares? But at the same time, it's so validating, because to be recognized for how much hard work you put in, to be externally validated like that, we'd be lying if we didn't say it. It didn't feel good on some necessary level. And that was a really big one that we'd wanted for a long time. But you know what? Now looking back, on the other side, it's like, okay, that's great, but what's next? Where do we go from here? And that's I think. You think
Where do you go?
What's
from
the
here?
spreadsheet say?
There's so many spreadsheets. Two things I want to jump on that. So kind of you mentioned what's next? Okay, this is great. I think one thing that, again, talking about partnership, that Connor, I'm very grateful for, is he'll stop and celebrate, right? I'm a little bit more okay, what's next? Great. Yeah, move on. But especially, when it comes to awards or anything, any recognition, getting a mention, you have to stop and celebrate, right? Because otherwise it's just so easy to just be heads down, continue on. You have to celebrate the wins because there's a lot of losses that, we'll take the opposite.
That you sit in. You don't sit in the wins, but you sure will sit in the losses.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I think that was really important that we did take a little bit of time to celebrate that one. And I was, as often as I can, I'll remind my wife that she's married to a top 40 and 40. An award-winning husband. I often refer to myself as.
That's the next t-shirt.
But that award was also really interesting because, Connor talked about we moved into a warehouse. We didn't have any money. We asked people for furniture. The reason we didn't have any money is because we ran into our biggest cash crunch we've ever run into, right? It was a weird period last year and sales just kind of completely dropped beneath the floor. We had two really big deals we were kind of relying on. And this was right around the time of inflation was starting to get into the conversation. A war broke out in Ukraine and the world just kind of stopped. And one thing we've learned as a consumer brand, especially in clothing, is you learn a lot about consumer behavior. And when there's uncertainty, people don't make decisions. Mm-hmm. And so especially when that was starting to happen and we had those deals right in the pipeline, it just stopped. And so we ran into a really challenging circumstance and we moved into a warehouse and we had no money, right? So thank God we had community that came in and stepped in and helped us retrofit this thing because we would have had nothing. So we got the award kind of shortly after we'd just gone through this and it was not an easy time, right? I'm the financial guy, so I think I take a little bit more of that burden on, but there was some nights where I'd go home and I'd cry to my wife. It's like, I don't know, right? I don't know what's going to happen. We could be out of business in 30 days. And so we had some difficult conversations around what that would look like and what our family would look like and what the business would look like if that happened. And again, very grateful for Connor, who's a lot more optimistic and saying, well, we'll just get through it. It's no problem. But what if we don't, right? We need to plan for that. So anyways, all that to say, the award was really incredible, but it's just ironic because you see people winning awards, but you truly never know what is on the other side. And for us, when we received the news, what was on the other side was a lot of challenge and struggle. And so it was really nice to be given that, to think of like, oh, it's amazing, we've accomplished so much. But I personally really struggle with imposter syndrome when that happened, because it's like, why are we getting this award when our business is almost going under, right? Like, why are we deserving of this? And that's the other side of awards that I think people don't often see.
I think that we spoke so much about today, building community. And I think you guys have already touched on this quite a bit, but I'm like, there might be some listeners that are sitting there thinking about, this word community, whether they own a small business, they're an entrepreneur, or even just in like their day-to-day relationships. They're like, how do I build like better relationships? And so I'm curious, and maybe your guys' perspective is slightly different in how you approach that. But if you had some almost like tangible like tips or takeaways or, things you would encourage someone to do if they were looking to, foster community and build relationship with other people?
It's a really good question. I think it can be summed up in one word and one word only. And I think it's the root of all. This is big. I think it's the root of all of our issues in humanity. I really do.
I would agree with that.
And I can sum up in one word. It's empathy. Everything that's wrong in this world is a lack of empathy. It's a lack of understanding what's going on in the head and the heart of the person next to you, sitting across, that you work with, that you take the bus with, that you're buying from, that you're selling to. And so why I think we're so good at building relationships and connecting with people is because we have a high level of empathy. I mean, you talk about like, why are you guys interviewing? Why are you guys asking us so many questions? I genuinely want to know. We're seeing coming up, to this lovely apartment and seeing this setup, like we're so intrigued. We're so impressed. Like we want to know everything how are you guys feeling about this? What are you thinking about Calgary? How's the podcast going? What's business like? And that I think is the number one thing. You want to build a relationship, have a little empathy, and it's a muscle that needs to be flexed and needs to be worked on. And I think if we all had a little bit more empathy, our business would be better, our relationships would be better, and the world would be a little bit better. And I'll give you one little example. Well, our manufacturer is a massive national manufacturer. They do T-shirts and sweaters for the biggest clients, for all, like, they do everything. And then here we are, and we're a teeny tiny little company with two guys who Google search how to make a T-shirt company, right? And yet, time after time, they tell us we're their favorite clients. We're their favorite clients, and we're going, we're not really your favorite clients, are we? You are our favorite clients. You are our favorite clients. So why are we your favorite clients? They said, because you're the only ones that say thank you.
Wow.
You're the only ones who say thank you. They deal with these massive clients all day who pick up the phone. Where's my T-shirts? Where's this? I needed it 2 days ago. La la la. We remember birthdays. We send like gifts, cupcakes on birthdays. We send Christmas gifts. We send, we text everyone. We tell our manufacturers that we love them, which I don't know if it's crossing a line or not. But
clearly not. That's why you're their favorite.
Do you tell them you love them, or do you tell them you love them?
Dustin doesn't tell. No, it's
Connor's like, Dustin's never even told me he loves me. No,
but it's that empathy, and it's because we genuinely care. Yeah. Like when we say, "Oh, how are you feeling?" It's not just a saying. It's like, no, tell me what's wrong. Like, what are you thinking? How are you feeling? Are you happy? If not, what can we do? How can we help?
Well, and I think this speaks to, and we say this a lot in our business with our clients, we're like, you're not selling a shirt, you're not selling a service. I'm like, you're selling a feeling. Like, that's what sales is, because anyone can find a shirt. You can go and find a shirt that you like, but what is the selling feature or the wanting to work with you feature is absolutely what you're talking about. It's being intentional. That's something really big in our business right now. CJ and I have like really been looking at our business, and we're like, man, like it doesn't matter even like if we can produce the most amazing numbers for our client, if they don't feel cared by us, they won't stay, because they want to feel a certain way. And that's what you guys are providing. Absolutely. Even to your customers and how the people you're working with. That's amazing.
Well, and people want, it's a natural human instinct to feel like want to be part of a community. And that's the number one thing that you think, where that next thing after empathy that is lacking is that sense of community. People used to find it in organized religion. That's dying, right? And for better or for worse. People are working from home. They're not getting it from work. That's why you see these like spin studios and fitness, CrossFit gyms explode over the last couple of years because people are starving for a community. And you just have to give them that outlet. And, your community can be just, like I said, the people you take the bus with, or the people that your manufacturers, your customers, your suppliers. And that's why we think by picking up the phone these last couple of weeks has been so successful, because we're actually connecting with people on a human, on an emotional level. It's not a cold email. Hope you are well. All the best. Thank you so much.
To whom it may concern.
Yeah. It's like, hey, it's Connor. What's going on? How are things? Well, how was your weekend? And that's where our business relationships have failed. We'd work with these like national big chains, and they were buying thousands of shirts, and we'd get on a call and they'd be like, hey, I need 1,000 shirts, by tomorrow, and they need to be this. I'm like, okay, yeah, no problem. But like, you get up to anything fun last night, or like,
you're like, you got to warm me up a little bit, guys.
Yeah. And they're like, no, t-shirts now. We're like, oh, okay. And then those relationships ultimately always fail with us, because we want to build community. We're here at the end of the day. If you're not enjoying what you do and you're not enjoying who you're doing it with, then what is the point?
And that's why when we hit a cash crunch and needed furniture, and we put the message out there and said, hey, can anyone help? We hadn't asked for a lot of help before that, right? It's not a muscle we often flex. It's always build community, give first. And so when we did finally ask, the community showed up, and that was pretty cool.
So we're very thankful.
That's like a beautiful place. I feel I'm looking at the time, like, to wrap this up. You guys were such a treat. I won't lie. Like, I didn't know much. I was like, local laundry, okay. Like, I looked you guys up, obviously, like on Instagram, which is my Google search.
Bunch of dudes that sell t-shirts.
I was like, I live in Calgary, and so I was like, this is like a great brand that is really, really well loved, right? And so I was like, guys, I think we should check them out. And they're like, who?
And I will say this, at the beginning of this conversation, I was like, yeah, why would you go to Stampede? Because, it's like all out of towners coming in. Like, they don't want these YYC shirts, but sitting with you guys for an hour, I'm like, you're going to
see some orders come through tonight from us, I think. I'm like sitting here being like, yep, I'm definitely, you got a customer for me.
I'm sold, absolutely.
You can see why the top 40 and 40 was so well deserved.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But what I want to say too is, like, as a business owner who myself, I have been feeling very stuck for the last 2 years. I've been feeling...
entrepreneurship is a lonely journey.
It is.
You're feeling... I'm not going to tell you how you feel,
no.
But it sounds like... It may sound like you're feeling alone and stuck. And I tell you, everyone thinks that they're the only ones that feel like that.
Yeah.
I guarantee you 99% feel the exact same way.
100%.
And sometimes that's why I think our community is so strong, because we just eliminate all the BS.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're not alone. I feel the exact same way as you. I have no idea what I'm doing. Maybe can you help me figure this bit out? I'll help you figure that bit out. And that's why, like, I'd love for you guys to come to one of our events, because the energy is just palpable. And it's just all of a sudden people coming together and helping each other grow, because entrepreneurship is extremely lonely, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to finish off with is how incredibly fortunate we've been, right? The awards are fantastic, but I think really we're the lucky ones that have been able to be a part of it, right? Yes, we worked super hard for it. Yes, there's been a lot of stressful night, tears, mostly on my end. But it's been a challenge, but we're so incredibly fortunate to be able to sit in this room and have conversations like these and be able to meet incredible people. And that's the best part of having a business, right? Is the relationships that you get to build and the connections you get to make.
I love it. So we actually like to wrap up by asking our guests a final question, and I'm really excited to hear what each of you say. It can either be, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given, or what is the best piece of advice you like to give?
I think the best piece of advice is often just stop talking about it and do it. I think I learned at a very young age, you go to school, you go to university, you get the job that, your parents want you to get, and then I think it was I started when I was living in Sweden. I couldn't afford, gym membership. We had no money when we lived in Sweden, and so I started long distance running because I thought, why not? Great way to see the country, exercise. So I set a goal to run a marathon, and I didn't tell anyone because, as you can tell, the podcast listeners can't tell, but I'm in the Clydesdale category of runners. I'm not the fastest horse in the barn, and that is okay. But I thought I'd run a marathon. I'm not going to tell anyone. And I'm not going to tell people, I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to wait. I'm going to post a picture on Instagram after I've done it, saying not that I'm going to do it, that I've done it. And it's not going to be the fastest time or anything. But I distinctly remember one of the most distinctive moments of my life was the first time I ran over 20 kilometers, right? It took me all day, but I ran over 20 kilometers, and I was shocked because that number was so big in my mind that it's like 20 kilometers. Like, who could run? That's like running forever. I could never run 20 kilometers. And then I did it. I was like, I can literally do anything. If I can do that, like, there is nothing that I can't do. It's like this little thing that clicked in my brain. And it's like, no one else could have ran the 20 kilometers for me. No one else could have ran the marathon for me. I did that is because I decided to, and because I decided to wake up early. I decided to put myself through the grunt and just do it. So I stopped talking about it and just do it. No one else is going to achieve your dreams for you. So you actually have to go out and do it. And that's why you give up. That's why we've given up everything else, the drinking, the partying, hobbies, all that, because I have my dreams, I have my goals, and I'm going to go out there, and there's just no room for excuses. So stop talking about it and go do it.
I love it.
Top that.
Follow it up.
No pressure. And
like,
no competition.
He picks the
Shoot
mic
for
up.
the moon, because even if you miss.
No, he's got a good one.
Let's hear it.
Ready?
Picture this. Every single person, so the 5 of us in this room, Oprah Winfrey, Jeff Bezos, we all have the same amount of time in the day. Yes. This is something that really hit me lately. I had the chance to listen to an incredible individual give a presentation. His name was Warren, who's accomplished incredible things in his life. He was an advisor to multiple presidents. He created a time management system for those presidents, which he then gave to everyone in the room at the time. And it's really, some of the best advice that he gave was simply that everyone has the same amount of time, but it's how you spend that time intentionally that will derive your outcomes, right? So if you want to become the best real estate agent in the world, but you're currently selling turtles, you can do that, right? It's just how you intentionally spend your time. And so we've gone through a lot this past year around, the right strategy, around how we're spending our time, around challenging a lot of our assumptions, right? We've been feeling stuck. And I firmly believe that we're all a collection of our past experiences. And so if you truly want to change, if you want to take that time to your advantage, you have to then work on yourself. You have to remove those past experiences and work through that. And so once you realize that no one is any different than you are. Sure, there's circumstances. Some people might come from a different position. Maybe they have more money, but everyone has the same amount of time in the day. And that's renewable. Every day you get a same set amount of time. So that works both ways, right? You need to be intentional how you spend it, but you also have so much time. So you can't ever get it back. And once you realize that, for me, it happened a lot more when I had kids, right? You start to realize how precious that time is. So especially when you're spending a lot of evenings and weekends running your business and you have little kids, you don't get that time back. And that is the biggest resource we have and the biggest regret that most people will come to see. And that was one of the experiences that he shared, right? Is you will never get that time with your children back. And most people at the end of their deathbed, they won't say they wish they had more meetings or they did more work. They wish they had more time with their kids or they wish they took that chance. So that's been a really big piece of advice to me and something that I've been trying to live by every single day. And I've implemented a better morning routine to try and be more conscious of that, but that we all have the same amount of time, and how you intentionally spend your time that will 100% determine your outcome.
Now I want to know your morning routine. Yeah. Real quick.
That's good.
I love morning routines.
It's nothing like his. And I will say,
okay, I want to hear both of them then.
I've never really been a morning routine guy. Never. I do believe that getting up early, own the morning, own the days, all the shit that he says. I wake up when my kids wake me up, right? I try and get some time in with my wife before bed. So we're usually up late. But the morning routine that was that was said to have been implemented by this gentleman, and all the presidents used it. So first 10 minutes, practice gratitude, right? That's a good start to the day. Spend more time focusing on what's good, right? What you have versus what you have. I've always been a have-not kind of guy, so this has been a good practice for me. The next 10 minutes, spend time reading. So ideally something inspirational. I choose business books because those inspire me. And then the next 10 minutes is journal, right? So write down kind of what your intentions are for the day, but tie that into what your mission is, right? What your goals are, and really plan out and sort of map what am I doing today, right? What are my goals? What are my intentions? What are my dreams? And what am I doing today that's going to actually get me to go towards those? So it's really kind of starting the day off with the right rudder.
And I've seen you've been a lot happier. I've seen a big improvement, a big change since you've been implementing. So
A lot more intentional.
Yeah, which has been really great.
That's amazing. Connor, tell us yours.
I'm so excited to
I know.
hear it. He's like, well, in Sweden, I would jump in the river. So
And catch a fish with my bare
picture
hands.
this.
One of the most influential books in my life was the 5 a.m. Club, which was one of the books for our business book club, which again, you are all going to join. It's going to be fantastic.
Great. We can't wait.
It's you'll love it. And it's just getting up early and the power of getting up early and that kind of thing. Lately, I've been so spoiled because my mom, I take my running inspiration from my mom, who's an incredible runner. She's a fabulous athlete, but she will come to my house and meet me. We do 5 at 5. She meets me at my house at 5 a.m. and we run for 5 kilometers. And so we do that Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so it's just a great way to like chat with my mom, connect with her, get some exercise in, and then I'll hop in the sauna. I have a sauna, big sauna guy, and I recently bought a cold plunge pool.
Yeah,
So-
you
I
did.
called this. I was like, he's a cold plunger. I know it.
I just look like a
No, you and I are very similar. And we just recently moved to the farm, and I told Nick, I was like, I want a sauna. I want a cold plunge.
Same.
And he's like, who are you?
It's life
My
changing.
partner wants a cold plunge.
It's the best. But,
So just one of
and
those like inflatable ones?
yeah, it's
So cool. Yep.
Yeah. So
Sorry, keep going.
Sauna, cold plunge. But if I'm not sauna in the morning, stretching. I started stretching for like 10, 15 minutes, and it's just turned my mood around. And there's no more like, getting up off the couch, like just having a stretch, just making breakfast. It's really not that crazy, but yeah, exercise, stretch. But the important thing is getting up. If you can get your butt out of bed at 5 a.m., like own your morning, own your life. You know what I mean? You just feels like a superpower. And
Is that Robin Sharma or is that Jocko Willing?
No, it's the guy 5 a.m. Club, Robin Sharma. Okay. But you also just feel better than everyone else. You're like, you guys are still in bed. Like, I'm better than you.
Loser.
I'm better than you. No, but I do love a good morning routine.
That's amazing. That's a great place to end it. You guys have given us lots to think about, lots to chat about. Thank you so much for coming in and for being here.
Really
We
cool.
want people to be able to know where to find you. Obviously, where to find and shop Local Laundry, and then where to find and follow you guys as well. So take a second to let us know where we can find you guys at on the internet.
So we are at Local Laundry on every channel: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, Twitter, Threads. Now I signed up for Threads today.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. 70 million number. Online, www.locallaundry.ca, if you're in the US.com. And personally, at Dustin Paisley, at Connor B. Curran. And yeah, we'd love to see you.
Yeah, you can find me on TikTok at Connor Rocks with an X. Why are you guys laughing?
I've never been. I'm going to make a big statement. I've never been so in love with a podcast as this one. I had no idea. You guys walked in and I was like, I was like, oh, okay, like cool. I don't really know these guys from anything. And I'm like, world's biggest fan right now.
I did good vetting.
If you think you're a fan now, you haven't seen his TikTok yet. I've been talking about it.
Okay. I'll
Guess
go
what
check
we're
it
going to be doing tonight while
Tonight.
sitting at your parents' pub?
Yes.
We're going to be on your TikTok.
Please, you'll
So
more
good.
than likely be disappointed. But yeah, it is. No, that's the incoming
Unreal.
account. It's Connor B. Curran. I might just add an ROX at the end.
Please do.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks
You
for
guys were
having us. Thank you
incredible.
for having us, for giving us the platform and other small businesses the platform. It means a lot.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode of the Her Podcast. If you want to follow along with us, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at its.her.podcast. We can't wait to see you there.
Bye.
Adios.